With Arknights being out for some time now, we have a lot of different operators, each one of them with their own unique design. And this will be the topic for today's video: operator designs I simply don't like, and what I think about Arknights designs in general. Keep in mind, this once again is my personal opinion. Now then, with this out of the way, let's begin with the first candidate for a design I don't like. Ooh, this will be a fun one. Aurora, the 5-star duelist defender. Aurora is similar to Eunectus, where for defender, she's wearing a little bit too little. But in the case of Eunectus, I always overlook it, since Eunectus is from Sargon, a jungle/deserty place. But Aurora is from Karlan, the land of ice and snow. And this is the thing I don't like about this design. In my opinion, it is pointless sexy. I like a bit of skin, but the setting has to be right, and Aurora is in the wrong setting for these clothes. Because here in Germany we have a fun saying of, there is no bad weather, you can only have terrible choice in clothing, and this is the case for Aurora. And personally, I never saw the reasoning as to why she wears so little, not even her operator profile gives any insight into that. Is it because she is based on a polar bear, or is there some other reason? I don't know. At least they fixed it with her skin. But now that we have the first example out of the way, I just want to say something, before this turns into a shitstorm. Just because I don't like an op's design for whatever reason, doesn't mean I don't like the op. I still like Aurora, because at least the skin makes her look decent, and she's still fun to use. But now you might be thinking, this should be obvious, you're talking about their design and not about how you like the operator in general. But experience has told me that this is not the case, most of the time at least, so you always have to put extra emphasis on it. Okay, now, with this short intermission, let's get to the next one I don't really like, which would be a pretty recent addition to Arknights Global. We have Melanite, the 5-star heavy shooter. In and of itself, Melanite's design is good, it doesn't look all too different from other operators. But the thing that always makes me think else is her choice in weapon. Personally, I am a fan of creative weapon designs when they fit into a certain setting, but Melanite's weapon doesn't even look like it belongs to Arknights. In comparison to all other firearms we have seen, this weapon feels way too futuristic. And now you might be saying, well, she came out during the space event, what are you expecting? And you are right. She released during Lone Trail, but Lone Trail also didn't feel too sci-fi. It was more like retro sci-fi, so what people in the 80s and 90s thought the future would look like. You know, some weird clothing, some sci-fi weapons based on simple geometry and space stations. Nothing that looks like Melanite's weapon. But this weapon, however, is full on sci-fi. If she would have been released with the Destiny collab, which is I don't know when, I would have not paid it any attention, because then I would have said, yeah, Destiny weapons are kind of funky and sci-fi anyways, so it works. But this, not really. It is just simply too much sci-fi, for my taste. And now we already are at a last design, which is kinda quick, but I have a reasoning for that later. Aurora, our broken 6-star executioner specialist. For this, it is more of a problem with how Yato's lore works and with how Monster Hunter armor works, because I myself am a Monster Hunter fan, so I have my personal problems there. In case for all of you that are not familiar by now, Yato in lore is sensitive to the sunlight. This is why she wears a lot of clothing in her original form, including the eye shield. And the Kirin armor now prevents this because of magic? And I think I'm not even kidding, this actually is the explanation for it. They don't really have an explanation for it. And the more I think about it, the less it makes sense from a Monster Hunter perspective and maybe also an Arknights perspective. Because in terms of the Arknights perspective, while it may be possible to redirect sunlight using arts, this Monster Hunter armor is brought from another world, meaning no arts included. And this leads me to a problem I have as a Monster Hunter player. Kirin is not really known to control light, but lightning. I know you might be wondering, well, isn't it kinda the same? Technically yes, technically not. If you want to be more physical about it, it is high energy. You could now argue that light also is energy, but in the end lightning is more heat than actual energy, because keep in mind, this is why we haven't harvested lightnings for energy sources yet. Because most of the energy just gets burnt up. So we have that going. So they could have picked a lot of other armors that would cover her more and still keep her mobility, like for example the Poke armor. Or when with a monster that can manipulate light to some degree, like for example the Lucent Nagakuga that is able to turn invisible. And in a physics sense, being able to turn invisible means that you are able to somehow bend light around you. If they would have picked any of those armors, I would have understood. But Kirin armor just doesn't work in this case. They probably picked it because it is the most like female hunter set, just like how the Rathalos armor set is the most like male armor set. And if it's not because of like, it's because it is the most recognizable out of all of the Monster Hunter armors. Okay then, these are all of the examples that I have, and pretty much all of the designs I have a problem with. While writing the script, I noticed a few things. There is not really much I don't like about Arknights designs. You might have noticed with these examples that it is small details that I don't like. Like for example the entire ensemble in combination with the setting, the choice of accessories or weapons, or simply the choice of armor in regards to lore. Because there is really not much to hate about these designs, unless you have a general problem with the overarching style of it all. And in case you are not aware of the overarching style, I would describe it as mostly casual outfits with some tactical components like armor pieces or guard pieces and combine it with a jacket or a coat. Overall, it is a very consistent art direction, with a few exceptions here and there, being summer versions or those operators that wear full armor. And this is what I like about Arknights design so much. The characters look like they are comfortable in their clothing and with their weapons, but at the same time being practical in Arknight scenarios and combat. Of course, there always are a few exceptions here as well, like how your Nectis is classified as a defender despite the lack of clothing. And all of the other things I could name, like how some operators are wearing sexy clothes because of sense service despite it not really fitting them or not really making any sense. But in gaming sense and gacha gaming sense, you will always have this kind of fan service to at least sell the character a little bit. And yeah, I think this would be everything I have to say about the Arknights design and those designs I don't like. Once again, this was kind of a short video, because I'm still in a bit of a time problem right now, personally. I don't even know when this video is going to get up. It might get up at the usual time, which would be bi-weekly, it might be later. If you watched this video until now, consider subscribing and liking, and we will see each other again in another video. Have a good day.